There are many thoughts about physician-assisted suicide. A lot of pros and a lot of cons. I believe that physician-assisted suicide should be legal. I believe that if the patient is terminally ill and goes through the proper steps and guidelines and is seen fit to be able to have a physician-assisted suicide, then it should be allowed. Now, if there wasn't like a proper guideline for this, then no, I do not believe that it would be okay. I think that you would have to meet a certain criteria and be 100% sure that this is what you wanted. Assisted suicide, or physician-assisted suicide, also known as PSA, is with the aid of another person, often a physician, that helps you end your life, but you actually administer the lethal dosage of medicine. The physician doesn't. With euthanasia, it's also known as mercy killing, the physician administers the means of death. Oncologist studies show over more than half have received requests from their patients wanting to end their life. Physicians only can prescribe lethal dosage of medicine if it is legal in that jurisdiction. If it's not legal in that jurisdiction, it doesn't matter what the patient wants. They can't get it if it's illegal there in that state. Physician-assisted suicide is legal in Oregon, Washington, Vermont, and California. It was legal in New Mexico up until in 2014, but in 2015 the verdict was overturned and now it's illegal again. In Oregon, one of the guidelines to be an aid in a physician-assisted suicide is you have to be 18 years or older, you have to be a resident of Oregon, you have to have communication healthcare decisions, be able to communicate healthcare decisions, you have to be able to diagnose terminally ill, and they have to pass away in the next 6 months. You have to explain other options of health care like hospice or pain management, and you want to request the patient to tell the family of their decision of wanting to end their life, and if competent and fully sure that they want to die, then the doctor can prescribe lethal dosage medicine and proceed with the physician-assisted suicide. There are some organizations that also support PAS. There's Compassion and Choices. This supports, advocates, and educates about health options to end life. There's the End of Life Choices, also known as like the Hemlock Society. It was discovered in 1993, and this organization wrote and advocated Oregon's Death with Dignity law in October 27, 1997. And the Exit International, which is an assisted dying guidebook, and there's a handbook called Peaceful Pill Handbook, and it was published in 2006. It's important to be aware of patients' wishes before it's too late, to where they're not able to speak or tell you or have the right mind frame to explain what they want and what their wishes are. So before they get to that stage, you want to analyze their cognitive ability of the patient to make their own decisions. You want to encourage the doctor to initiate convo about end of life and what their thoughts are on end of life. You want to make sure that the patient is fully aware of all the other medical options provided. And you also want to make sure that the patient and family members receive counseling. A famous assisted suicide is Dr. Kevorkian. He's known as the Dr. Death. He assisted in 130 patients, and in 1987 he advertised in an article as a death consultant. Many considered him to be a hero, though. His famous saying was, dying is not a crime. The one thing I don't agree with his policy is that he didn't think that they had to be terminally ill. But if they were suffering, he agreed to do the procedure on them. Dr. Kevorkian, he never killed anyone because all of his patients actually administered the medicines themselves. A couple quotes that was from him. Another one was, my aim in helping the patient was not to cause death. My aim was to end suffering. It's got to be decriminalized. And then his other one was, what difference does it make if someone is terminal? We are all terminal. The Hippocratic Oath, which is like the do no harm, which is the guide for doctors and their actions, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. It interpreted as do nothing to harm the patient's chance of survival. And if you take it literally, it could mean don't artificially keep someone alive when death is preferable. Key word is harm. In certain causes, or in certain cases, doctors who don't alleviate suffering are violating that principal oath. If it was legal in all states, I would say it would have to have a strict guideline. You would have to be terminally ill. You would have to see 2 different doctors, and they would both have to diagnose you. You would have to at least have 1 year of counseling. You would have to talk with family members about your decision. You would have to have a written and oral statement with your wishes of the assisted suicide. And not anyone can get PSA. It should be a very particular process to ensure the right decision is made. Why PSA? Terminally ill patients should have a choice to end their own life. That is the humane thing. Criminals get sent to death row, people that don't want to die, but terminally ill people that want to die can't. How is that ethical or moral? Terminally ill patients shouldn't have to live the last of their time in tremendous amount of pain. What kind of life is that to remember or leave? If competent, the patient should have the choice. It is their life. Would it be okay to kill a terminally ill person if they killed someone just to go to death row for the death penalty? I don't think so. That'd be giving them what they want. Abortion is okay because it's the woman's choice. So how is assisted suicide any different? It's their choice. It's their life. When a terminally ill patient does a physician-assisted suicide, the patient dies knowing it's their choice. They die with dignity. It takes away the guilt or burden they feel like they're putting on their family. Healthcare costs can be reduced. Doctors can spend more time with patients that are going to live instead of spending time on patients that are dying. Pain and anguish for family could be lessened by being able to say their final goodbyes and instead of watching their loved ones in pain and misery. And the terminally ill patient would be able to choose their surroundings and have family around and music that they like, sights, sounds, they would have that option to have things that they enjoy before leaving the earth. Death is a private matter, and the state should not interfere. Many people have their pets put down if suffering, and that's looked at as kindness. So why can't the same kindness be for humans? Death is not always a bad thing. Making it come sooner isn't either. Not everyone is religious, so it does not view this as morally wrong all the time. Not everybody sees this as morally wrong. Everyone's not religious. The main issues in physician-assisted suicide are social, ethical, legal. Socially, I would say many oppose it, but many support it. It's an ongoing debate. Ethically, the physician isn't killing the patient. The patient is willingly ending their own life. So I don't see anything ethically wrong with that. Legally, it's legal in some states, and it should be legal in more. As long as a strict guide is followed when doing a PAS, I do not see any issue with this.